Cool, thank you very much. So, just want to invite Adam back up as well. Thanks guys, really appreciate it. So just over to you guys for questions to Adam or Atish primarily. Yes.
What source control do you use here or TF version control?
No, we're using TFS, yeah.
TF version control?
Yes. So I've got other projects that use Git, Focus for, and not TFS as a build server as well. So it's pretty easy. And there's plugins from the other continuous integration services as well.
So how long does it take roughly to start implementing something like this from end to end? I know it's how long it is of streaming, but is it significant after that time?
So within the department, we've got, if we were just pulling a single solution or a single project and we didn't have to do the merging part, that's pretty easy to do. Our complexity was actually merging the process into that single integration environment, because they're unmanaged, making sure they're not overriding each other, making sure the Slack app was playing nicely together, working out how we do project dependencies, build orders, getting dependencies in the other projects. And it was a bit of trial and error, so I suppose we spent probably 2 weeks. But now, for me to onboard the grants management, I did that in half a day. So once I had everything written, I just basically cloned one of the other projects we went deployed, did exactly the same within DIIS, modified the build variables, made some changes, tested it, and we haven't basically had it. So it was pretty quick once we're bringing a new project on board. So yeah, that was good. It was good to get a return on investment.
How much automated testing do you actually do currently?
So basically the same. I didn't show my build steps within VCS, but if there's any tests, like unit test projects, they'll run, but we don't have any integration tests at the moment. It is something that we want to do. It's just a matter of priority. So one thing I'd like to see is it's quite a large amount of regression testing that happens, and especially as grants come on board, their regression test suite's over 900 tests. So I'd like to see some information around that where there's value. But with, say, coded UI tests or something like that, if your interface is changing on a regular basis, it's too brittle, it's not worth it. But we're starting to, we're matured now, I think, so we can target certain areas to get that. And then once we bring the mobile on as well, that's another level of testing that needs to be done as well. So it doesn't get less, it gets more testing. So yeah, so we are looking to do it. It's also about finding people who can actually are skilled in doing that as well.
Are you doing any coded UI at the moment?
I think we've got a couple of tests that we had someone do, but I don't think they're being implemented. They're not implemented to the CI process.
So what are you using for development? Like, are you using the developer toolkit or some other?
Yeah, so different from how you've got it set up, we have a single development instance that everyone uses, and that's in the cloud. We have no on-premise CRM in the teams that I sort of work with. Some of the other teams we have some on-premise VDS with CRM on, but for the online systems, it's a single dev instance that everyone works to. You have your own developer workstation, but we don't actually have CRM installed on those ones.
So at what point do you get the source and configure?
So everything, all the WYSIWYG configuration from CRM is done in a single instance. When we want to deploy, we have all our plugin code, custom workflow activities must be in that development CRM and happy for it to be deployed. So we don't, as like you're doing, we don't extract the solution files and break them down and put them in source code. As a part of that build, and the reason why my build took a little longer, it actually stamps the CRM solutions, pulls them out, puts them as a part of the builder artifact, but not actually, we don't actually check them in the source control.
So you don't have XML in the source control?
No, not at all. So basically the build service picks up those artifacts and deploys them. So we don't actually put them in the source control. We ummed and ahed about that. We just decided not to. And previously people were actually checking in the solutions in the source control, but don't see that's providing any value. They're on the build server, they're backed up, they're in the CRMs. We've got them if we need them.
How do you look at changes between the two then? It's not in the source, like what differences people have actually done from version 1?
So obviously the code changes, just use the out-of-box tools with Visual Studio, but if we're talking configuration changes, we don't really have a need to compare, or haven't had, and if we do need to compare, you break down the solutions, extract the XML and use Beyond Compare or another tool to compare the XML if you need to. Like today, I had to compare some site maps, for example. So I pulled them out of different environments, put them in my thing, had a look, and went, okay, here's the difference. We'll roll it back, took out some of the CRM 2016 specific tags, pushed it back up. And
I think there's a CRM tool that can do that in the tool, kind of thing. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think there's a solution.
yeah, I know one of the guys who works in our team, he's written some, we hand-rolled some stuff so we can point it to instances and say, tell me what's the difference between these instances. Because one of the things, if you're deploying solutions and you remove the field, it won't go and take the field out. You just might see the forms, but it's still there in the background. So we've got things like posting on the task that we try and keep the devs honest. So we have removed the fields, we do a compare, and so now we've got all these fields here that we're not using here. Let's put our post-deployment tasks and codify and take them out. So we're trying to keep honest, consistent.
Is it possible to get a field that doesn't deploy? And what do you do when that happens?
Yep, so we do have a number of CI builds, so if you're checking in code-related artifacts, and it's not the WYSIWYG configuration CRM, they will kick off an automatic build on checking, sort of a gated build, that'll run any unit tests associated with those. It's only when you manually kick off those ones. So we don't have continuous delivery, so we're not on checking, deploying to our integration environment every time, and that's mainly because CRM's a bit slow to deploy. If it was a website or something and its Xcopy deployment is really quick, you can sort of get away with that. But CRM, some of those CRM projects can take 15 minutes to deploy. We've got a number of solutions that are really big backlog of pre and post deployment tasks. And when we do our production deployments, we've got two projects at the moment. When grants come along, it's in order. It does actually take a while.
So do you do it on a timer or something and deploy, or is it kicked off?
No, it's basically, we've got a release manager, so if Project X wants to deploy, they're like, hey, we want to deploy, everyone, we're letting you know we're going to deploy because we do have that integrated, especially for the point to a test environment. If other projects are testing or they're running tests, we just got to coordinate that, and that's just communication.
For the integration environment?
The integration environment is slower, pretty much, because we're using a single build and deployment tentacle, is what Octopus calls, and it can only deploy to one CRM instance at once. They will just queue them up. And
So
it's
it's
one
deploy each time to the integration environment?
if you kick off that particular build, yes. It's just only one build that does it, and you've got to manually launch that.
And I assume it's possible to create a field that won't deploy if you do something in the wrong way?
Yeah, so we've got other builds that do build, but they don't. There's a step in when you were showing the Visual Studio build step. The last one is it's an optical build step that basically says, hey, if you want to push that package in this build and create a deployment, they just don't do that step.
How do you coordinate if there's multiple developers working before you do a release? When you kind of send out and making changes just before?
Yeah, it's mainly just communication within the team. So we have a sort of schedule within our 4-week sprints. So there is a hard dev cutoff for each of the projects, and it's like the third Friday in the 4-week sprint sort of thing. So you close the business, there's a cutoff, and then there's you need to go to pre-prod by a certain time. You run your regression tests, and once everyone's signed off pre-prod, we basically do our production. We're at the moment releasing production in the morning, just because we have rest. Yeah, that's the end. That's like the last Thursday in our 4-week sprint, and then we've got all our other sort of scrum ceremonies during that week, planning and retrospective and that sort of stuff.
Well, thank you very much for presenting today, both of you, and thank everyone for coming along. Yeah, as I mentioned, these slides will be uploaded on the Meetup site. I'll be uploading the video to YouTube unless anyone has an objection. I'm going to do a bit more editing, probably in the next couple of days. I'll also be sending you out, for those of you that have got your email address, a survey as well, so we can get some feedback on today's session. And yeah, hope to see you all here at the same time next month. Thank you very much.